What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the bandsaw. Right here are the tools that are going to help me is an 8-inch trim knife, a 12-inch bull nose, and a 14-inch scimitar. I also have a meat hook, which is going to help me carry this larger piece of meat around, and we have a bone scraper, which is to remove the bone dust after we use the bandsaw. Let's go over to our friend, the bandsaw. Today we're going to be using the bandsaw to chine this short loin. What we are going to do is the act of chining, which is going to be shaving this spine bone down, which will allow me to also trim the steak better, make it more presentable for my meat case. We're going to be using this really new high-tech bandsaw that has high-tech safety features. And I'm putting on these gloves because it has a sensor that if it sees this blue right before the blade, the bandsaw will shut down, removing almost all risk of injury. One of the great things about a bandsaw is it gives me the ability to do fine work like this in a speedy time. Let's go back to the table and we'll cut some steaks. First thing I'm going to do is take my bone scraper, which is a utensil that removes all the bone dust. We want to remove all this because what it will do is oxidize the meat if we leave it on there. So we're going to come across and we're going to clean all that off. Now what we want to do is we want to knife our steaks. What it does is keeps the bandsaw from running through the meat because the blade will actually chew up the meat a little bit, sacrificing the quality of the meat and the texture. I'm going to take my 12-inch bull nose. As you can see on this side, it's very uneven. So what I'm going to do is face this short loin off. Now we have a really square, clean face. Then we will come in and just cut down till I hit a bone and cut a couple steaks. Now we just need to go back to the bandsaw and cut through that spine bone and bring them back and clean them up and trim them for our case. Chine the short loin. We knifed them down and cut through the bone with the bandsaw. Take our bone scraper, get all the bone dust off, take our trimming knife. I want to make this presentable and edible for my customers in my case. I really look for shape, presentability, and then also we want to look to make sure it's trimmed on both sides evenly and that we've gotten all that bone dust off. There we have 3 beautiful porterhouse steaks that have been cut on a bandsaw. Another application on the bandsaw is to line up the piece of meat against a guard and just cut straight through. We're going to use the guard on the saw to set the width of the steak that we would like to cut. Normally by hand, it's my eyeball, but now we can set a perfect 2-inch, 3-inch, 1.5, whatever we would like. As you can see, the table moves. There's a couple little grooves here meant for hips. So this allows me not to have to push too hard on the meat, which could be dangerous where my hands could slip into the saw. Now, also what we can do as a safety feature, take the meat we've cut when we have a small piece of meat and use that to keep our fingers out of the way. So let's see what we have here. So you can see how evenly the steaks are cut because we use the guard. And you can see on the steaks that I cut by hand, they're very similar, but they're not equally as perfect. We're gonna trim these up. Beautiful thing about a butcher is we're a partnership with our customers. We start a project and they finish it. So for me, I want to make this as tasty and amazingly cookable for my customers. A little over a 1/4-inch trim. You want a little bit of nice fat, crisp up, give you some great flavor. There we have steaks hand cut, we have steaks saw cut. The next thing we need to do is we need to work up our trim. What I'll do with this, lean out as in taking fat out of the trim, and then the fat that we save, we can render down into tallow, make soap, candles. Ideally, I want to get all this red out. You know, nothing goes to waste. Everything red here is money for us. The thing that's nice about using an 8-inch for trim is it's got a little flex to it, and it's not too long. If I was using a knife like this, I take the risk, my fingers are going to get in the way. I don't need that much blade. It's kind of like the difference between a longboard and a shortboard in surfing. We got our pile of chuck, we have our steaks, we're good to set up our case. I'm a neighborhood butcher, and I want to be able to do everything my customer wants me to do. I can't do Korean short ribs without a bandsaw. This is why we use it.